So over the past 6.5 years, I've been using a dirty trick to slingshot me from being a broke, unskilled 18-year-old to now being on the verge of my 25th birthday, having a business that's on track to do $10 million in revenue this year, a really solid base of skills, a great group of friends, and my dream life that I'd always wanted. And so in this video, I wanted to share with you guys what's been super helpful for me to stay motivated through the toughest parts of that journey, because really what entrepreneurship is about is just being able to stay in the game. And a lot of people will get knocked out, they would face big challenges, and it will just let them crush them. And this system that I'm about to share with you has been my saving grace time and time again that I can fall back on. And it's almost like a foolproof system. Like I couldn't lose when I had this operating system and this kind of software running in my brain that didn't allow me to lapse in motivation and actually allowed me to push even harder in the times that were hard. So listen up, because without this, I wouldn't have gotten to where I am today. So I'm sure there's part of my success that you can sort of steal and apply to your own journey. So the best way to understand how this infinite motivation system works and why it works is based on a study where a team of researchers set out to figure out what determined how strong or how motivated a mouse was in this case, but you could presumably kind of apply that to humans as well. But if you put a mouse in a tube in this case, you tied it up to a spring, and then you had the smell of cheese wafted in from one side, basically something that it was eager to work towards. And also if you had the smell of a cat being wafted in from behind, how strong would the pulling force be of the mouse? How much motivation or energy would it be able to apply when given these different stimuli? And so you can think of this as you, the entrepreneur, the mouse in this case. We are all very familiar with what we're working towards, like the lifestyle and the money, and maybe you want cars or girls or whatever your motivation is that you are chasing towards, this sort of aspirational outcome that you're really driving towards. We're all very familiar with what this is, but often when I get into a deep chat with any entrepreneur or anyone that I actually want to kind of become friends with, I ask immediately, like, what are you running towards and what are you running away from? And I think that tells you a lot about a person, because either they're not really aware of it, and in which case I'm like, okay, you probably need to sort of get to know yourself a little bit more. But myself, you, and everyone else, basically, if you're trying to do something big with your life or just trying to do anything, you are going to be running towards something, some kind of outcome or dream life that you want, and you're going to be running away from something else. This might be, I don't know, like never got sort of love or approval from your parents, or there's like people who picked on you, or girls, the opposite sex, or whatever your negative motivation are, the fear of being a failure, or you're like cast out of your family, or all these other awful things that happen to people. This being you as an entrepreneur, the strength of which you pull and apply and are motivated towards your goal of achieving this kind of outcome, as you'll find from the study, based on both your desire for this aspirational outcome, how tuned in and clear you are on this, and how much are you willing to sacrifice to get there, but also on what you're running away from. And so the interesting thing about the study is that when they put just the cheese alone, it applied 0.8 newtons worth of force. So it was given a decent pull towards the cheese alone. So if you just kind of blocked out the cat here, and it's in a pipe, it's got a spring, how hard is it going to pull towards just the cheese when they kind of waft the smell of the cheese in one end? And it would pull with a 0.8 newtons worth of force. And then they took the cheese away, and then they just had the cat. So the negative, kind of the thing that they're trying to get away from. This is called approach and avoidance. So obviously avoiding the cat, well, how strong is the stimuli and how much sort of energy will it apply in order to avoid the stimuli? And then how much will it try to approach this positive stimuli? And the interesting thing is that with cheese alone, it was 0.8 newtons. With the cat alone, it was 0.3. But interestingly, it's when they combined them both, when there was the smell of the cat wafted in from the back and the cheese coming in from the front, it applied the most force, sort of a greater force than it did for either of them. And so how does this apply to business and entrepreneurship, and how have I used this kind of approach to ensure that I have basically unlimited motivation, particularly in times when I need it the most? So it's basically inevitable on your journey that you're going to have setbacks and you're going to have challenges that come up. And I've tuned my brain in a way, probably over the past decade or so, that gives me this really resilient way of dealing with these setbacks that's in line with this study. And I call it basically dark energy transmutation. So you have some form of energy, it's all here. This is dark energy. Say this is like rejection or failure or something bad happens in your life. You're essentially trying to transmute or transform this negative energy into something that's going to help you to pull harder on this and push even harder towards your goals. And if you are able, like I have, to create a muscle that automatically converts this into motivation towards your goals, then you essentially have an unlimited source of motivation when you are in your darkest moment. And when you have this, you can basically set up this no-lose scenario. An easy way to illustrate this is going to be with an example. So say back when I was coming up, there was a girl that I met and that I was kind of fall in love with, and I was like, well, this is really be the one, as you do at that age. And I was in a position where I was like grinding away on my businesses and I was really trying to make something of myself. So in this case, I have me in the pipe here like a rat. I am tied up to the spring. And then on one side, I have all the like kind of cars and stuff, all the things that I wanted to get. and like the lifestyle and the like laptop lifestyle and internet money kind of stuff, all of the usual things that you'd expect a sort of 18, 19-year-old dude would want. And so I was actively trying to charge towards this, right? I was being, just like the mouse, I was being motivated by the attraction to the positive thing that I wanted. And I suppose you could also say that the girl was over here as well. I was like, well, this is what all I really want. But crucially, the other side of the equation here is, of course, like many, would be like rejection in relationships, feeling like you're not good enough or not loved. And there's all these other sort of things for me on this side, as there are for you, that I won't go into detail on here. But there's all the stuff that I'm kind of scared of, right? And I'm trying to run away from. And I'm actively trying to say, no, I don't want that stuff. And if I can put in enough effort this way, then maybe I'll get far enough away from the stuff that I don't have to worry about it. But in the case of like this thing with the girl, it turned out that I was basically a whole lot more into her than she was into me. And so through the course of, I don't know, a few weeks, I felt like I was being dragged this way towards this sad and unhappy thing. I was getting all of my emotions caught up in the sadness and the ups and downs of this like quasi like relationship fling thing. And it was pulling me back towards all the scary stuff. But the key thing here is that I had built up this muscle of like a dark energy transmutation, as I call it. With my brain, in kind of a weird way, it was okay with it going south, because I know that if the relationship goes well and it goes how I expect, boom, I get all the fun stuff that I wanted and the dream life. But I knew that the closer that this sad stuff dragged me towards the thing that I was running away from, I could transform that dark energy into positive energy towards my dreams and goals, where I knew that if things did go bad, then I would be energized more than ever to sort of lock in and work towards my goals. And so this can be done with whatever. It might be that your dad doesn't give you the recognition. Maybe you've got a bit of success with your business and like your dad just never really gives you the high five that you're looking for, or like the I'm proud of your son. And if you're able to build this mental muscle of this transmuting the dark energy, you can use it to slingshot you forward more. And so every setback is basically helping you to generate more force. Just like the mouse here, more setbacks that push you towards the cat is only going to increase the amount of force you apply towards your goals and motivation you have to seek them. So this is like the typical I see you in the gym, bro kind of thing, where like there's a breakup and then everyone's in the comments saying like, I'll see you in the gym, bro. And it really is like that. And I've used this time and time again in many different situations. It might be the case of maybe you feel like you don't get the respect you deserve, or like someone is slighting you or leaving you out of things. Can you turn that around and say, no, I'm not going to let that reduce my motivations. I'm going to transmute that and use it as more force towards my goals. And so I really want this to be empowering for you all, and that like I have my demons, as everyone does. Basically, anyone who's ever done anything big with their lives has had some kind of negative motivator that they've used to help push them towards where they actually want to go. So I guess I just want to make this about kind of feeling empowered by your things. Like, for example, I was quite short in high school. I've thankfully grown to a normal height now, but that was the worst thing in my life at the time. I remember like screaming into my pillow when I was little. I was the younger brother as well. I felt like no one really listened to me. And I took all of that energy, and I remember being in high school and I was like, these guys are much bigger than me. And I was one of the shortest in the school. I was like the last person in my whole high school for my voice to break. And so I bet you can imagine kind of how that went. If they're going to make the odd short joke to me, or whatever your equivalent of a short joke is in your life right now, I'm going to use that as a reason why I will be better than them in every single category. So I was the top of the school. I was way better than them academically. I was in the gym every bloody day. I had a way better body than them. And I was like, I'm going to beat these guys in every single bloody category. I'm not going to let this one deficiency that is genetically determined and I have no control over, let me be boxed in, or let me be any lesser than I want to be. I'm going to use it as fuel, and I'm going to transmute that energy. And I built the muscle when I was that age. And thankfully, I've been able to carry that skill through. That was when I was a little kid in school. Now I don't need to worry about my height anymore. And I still have that in me. I still have the ability to transfer this dark energy into something more powerful and really push me towards my goals. So I want you to feel kind of empowered by the stuff that you're not proud of about yourself, or you've regretted, or always wanted to change about yourself, or the tough circumstances you had when you were coming up in childhood. Each one of us has a brain and free will, and we can choose to use that to our advantage in order to get us where we want to go. Now, you can even take that to the extreme of like a Michael Jordan. If you've watched The Last Dance, you know that Michael Jordan was like the king of this. He would make shit up that people said to him so that he could get pissed off. I think in the finals of one of the NBA championships, after he'd lost like game 6 or something, he made up a story in his head that one of the opposition came past and said, yeah, good game, Mike. And then he used that to just get so worked up and come back and absolutely crush him and win the championship. And while that may seem extreme, you're probably trying to do something pretty extreme with your life, or very out of the ordinary for people from your background or from where you're from. So extreme goals require extreme measures. One final point on this, just sort of from what I've learned of using this for a very long time, it's something that you need to be aware of. You should use any energy sources that you have access to, and that's basically the whole point of this video. But understand that fuel sources can only run to a certain point, and using dark fuel for too long will end up taking you to very kind of sad and low places. And at some point, likely once you've got to where you want to go, and you've got the money, and you've got the freedom, and you've got everything that you ever really wanted, then you need to be well aware that that fuel source is not going to last forever, and you need to start to figure out, okay, what is my, do I want to master my craft? Do I want to have a big impact? Do I want to sort of do things for other people? Like, you need to figure out what the clean fuel source is to take you to the next level. But honestly, it took me years and years and years, like 5, 6, 7 years before I finally got to a point where I had to make that call and actually look around and be like, I don't think I need to carry this stuff with me anymore. I've done what I set out to do. Now, what is the fuel source that I want to run off for the next leg of my career? That is a lot cleaner, and it's a lot less reliant on negative emotion. But that is dark energy transmutation. That is a breakdown of the approach avoidance pull strength study. I hope you guys can use this, and I'm really rooting for you all, because you've probably got some awful stuff that you wish didn't happen to you, or you're not proud of about yourself. And if my story is anything to go by, you can use that stuff to make the life of your dreams and to have a big impact on the world. And I really hope all of you don't fall victim to your circumstance. So that's all for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.